It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I want to get into another artist, and that is Chris Brown with the Indigo album. So I'm gonna let you know this right now. Indigo is definitely an album to listen to if R&B is your thing. If it's mixed with a little bit of pop and a little bit of dance, but if R&B and that mix is your thing, I would definitely like Chris Brown's Indigo album. I definitely think that's a huge deal. I definitely think that Chris Brown did a lot of different sounds to the point where it was great. He had a lot of different sounds, reggaeton, you could really tell in there at times, R&B, pop, a little bit of club music in there. So if you got the nice slow dance R&B records there and there, especially
I
Red.
like Chris Brown, but the issue with Chris Brown has always been the same thing, the domestic violence issues.
I understand it, but at what point do we sit over there? Okay, so here's how I look at it, right? Timeline, he did what he did. Timeline, he got criticized for it heavily. Timeline, he got raked through the coals. And then
he should have, because
I understand that. I'm not excusing what he did. I'm not excusing what he did was heinous. I know.
Yes.
I know. It was very, very, very screwed up. However, he has grown up. He now has a daughter now and stuff of that nature. He has admitted how wrong he was. He admits that he wish he could go back and change it, but he can't. So he's showing deep remorse over the situation. He's not being some cutthroat jerk with money, being like, oh, well, I'm Chris Brown. I don't have to tolerate that. I don't have to deal with this. No, he's not acting like that. He was remorseful, and now he's been trying for the past however so many years to move forward and to be the best person that he can be for his daughter. So when you look at it,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
but
I know that there's some people in the public are never going to forgive him. I know that.
Right, but see, there's also been other, people in sports and other things that have never ever been afforded another opportunity off of things like this.
Yeah.
I personally don't have an issue because do I believe in beating women? I absolutely do not. I
don't agree with it either. I'll run away before
ever even slapped a woman. So I don't think that's something you should do. But you add drinking and the heat of the moment and being young all together at the same time. Sometimes you do shit you'll always regret. It just happens.
Yeah, it's terrible, dude. It's terrible. But
yeah, no, you're right. It was atrocious what he did.
Right.
But you can't keep. Are you going to keep piling on to something that's happened in the past? At some point, doesn't everybody have to move on?
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure Rihanna's moved on from this.
Yeah, she has. I mean, you see it in her face. She's moved on. That's not the issue anymore and stuff of that nature.
I mean, she's like one of the most highly successful female artists ever.
Yeah.
So obviously this hasn't, really. I mean, I'm sure it's scarred. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that.
It affects you.
I'm sure it's scarred.
When you go through a domestic dispute, it affects you for the rest of your life.
I'm sure it's scarred her, and I'm sure, yes, she's affected for life. But it never stopped her from making her money. So that's a good thing.
And in a weird way, it helped spread awareness over an issue,
right,
that needs to be talked about. And I think that, and to be honest, I could make a good argument that sparked the conversation about domestic abuse in that particular era.
I can see
amongst
that
particular generation. You know what I'm saying?
I can see
because that had never been talked about in that widespread.
Right, it's always been kind of swept under the rug.
Right. Now it's open now. Everything is open to talk about now with podcasts, radio, because the culture, it wants to dive in on these issues. However, back then that wasn't the case. If you didn't see it, you didn't talk about it.
No, not at all.
Right. So when you have that going on and he's admitted his wrongs and stuff of that nature, and he's actually remorseful about it, and he's trying to do the best he can, it's one of those situations where if you're remorseful, you're sorry about something, you have to accept the fact that there's a certain amount of people that are never going to forgive you, and no matter how many records you put out, you're going to have to push forward. Now this is a 30 plus track album. The last one was a 40 plus track album.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of music, man.
Yep. And he's putting out top quality music at a high level on all these tracks. And I just got to say this. Indigo gets 4 out of 5 stars for me. The reason why I can't give it a 5, because that's like Michael Jackson levels. That's Prince levels. I can't go up that far. No disrespect to Chris Brown. I just can't go up that far. So that's my rating for Indigo. So go cop the album. If you like R&B, with a different sound, this is the album to get. But yeah, definitely go check that out. Some of the tracks on here, Chris Brown, Part of the Plan, Chris Brown, Trust Issues, Act In, A Temporary Lover with Lil Jon, Red is my favorite track, of course, Chris Brown and Drake, No Guidance, and more. So go ahead and check that out when you get a chance.